Ah, fantastic. It's the virus, of course, that did it. It wasn't the policy. It's the virus that did all these things. And recently that echoes something I read in the New York Times where they talked about how the WHO is saying that some kids may never fully regain the educational losses. And they say, well, the virus did that. It was the virus that closed the school. But of course it wasn't the virus that closed the school, was it? It was human beings who closed the school because they believed it was the appropriate policy response to the virus. But they didn't do it everywhere. There was a place on Earth, a little place called Sweden, where they didn't close elementary schools, and those children have not had the educational losses that we've had in other nations. Those children are doing better. They also didn't die in record numbers from SARS-CoV-2 because the virus is not extremely lethal in children. It's a disease of older people. It is much worse in older people. It has a log gradient. So, it got me thinking about what we're doing and what the virus is doing. And I think I'm really worried that we're going to enter a period of revisionist history where people will say the virus did things that the virus didn't do. Let's talk about the quarantining issue. Now, if schools and hospitals were being disrupted because many people were feeling sick and they just couldn't perform their duties, well, of course, that's the virus doing that. But if schools are being disrupted principally because one kid in class was ill, and then everyone else in that class has to go home for, depends on the rule, 10 days or maybe 5 days and test if they've been vaccinated, but 10 days if they haven't been vaccinated, and there's some difference there, then these are rules that people have made. And the question, of course, is, well, what if you didn't have those rules? What would happen in school if one kid was sick, that kid stayed home, but all the other kids just went to school as if a normal school, and nobody tested, nobody did anything? And the truth is we have no idea that any of these rules are better than the alternative scenario. And in fact, Anthony Fauci himself has said that we will all eventually experience a coronavirus breakthrough infection. Ideally after vaccination, but even for people who haven't been vaccinated. Even for people who have natural immunity, I suspect with enough time, they will have a breakthrough. It'll be milder. But we will all eventually be infected with this virus many times in our lives. It is an endemic virus. It's not going anywhere. So what does all this mean? This means that it's not the virus that's keeping most of these places closed. It's the policy. As far as I can tell, many people who feel fine are prevented from going to work because they were exposed to the virus, they're testing asymptomatically positive to the virus, they are still in quote-unquote recovery even though they're totally symptomatically recovered, and this is all done because the theory is that if we allow these people back when they feel like they can participate in school or work, that the virus would spread even faster. But that's a theory. It's not proven. Whether or not you do all of the draconian measures or not, when you're hit with an Omicron wave, it's going to make very, very little difference. In fact, almost no difference at all. It spreads so fast that even the most onerous societal-wide restrictions in their models will not do much to change the trajectory of the pandemic wave. It's not the virus that is causing the disruption. It is our policy. And there are alternative policies. Just like it wasn't the virus that closed schools because there are places that didn't close schools. But I think the reality is, for most people, life is actually severely disrupted in many ways. It was the pandemic that made you close elementary schools for a year and a half. It wasn't us. It was the pandemic that did that. But of course it wasn't the pandemic. It was us. It was us who decided to close restaurants and shops. It was us who decided to cancel elective surgery. It was us who decided to fire nurses who had natural immunity, refused to get the vaccine. That was our choice. It's us. Many walks of life are not the same as they were before, particularly work, which is a huge chunk of your waking life. Particularly, I think, even travel. It's diminished. And restaurants, and even if some of that is volitional, i.e. it's not a draconian mandate, but it is volitional in the sense that it's the response of the people to a certain tenor of media coverage, a certain tone of media coverage. If that tone is sensationalist and panic-inducing, then that drives people out of businesses. Then to some degree, it's not the virus that did it, it was your media coverage which changed voluntary behavior. It's the deeply concerning, deeply fear-mongering media coverage. Is it due to the virus, or is it due to us? And us should include the media coverage of the virus, which has been terrible. And then the more you think about it that way, the more you'll see a lot of it is due to us, and not the virus, but our policies around the virus. The virus will become a virus that infects almost everybody. And I think that's right. And as long as that's the case, all the policy questions change. They fall like dominoes.